Senator Paul Wellstone had a way of rallying people that made supporters love him and drove opponents crazy. But at the same time, those opponents respected his passion. Wellstone's work ended in a plane crash on the Iron Range 22 years ago this month. This week's Holding On to History, Dave Anderson looks at the Wellstone legacy.
I'm a Minnesota senator. I am on the side of Minnesotans. It's an honor to serve Minnesota.
Paul was always just such a passionate person for the working people and the middle class, and he always kind of got goosebumps when he did his speeches.
Paul Wellstone's fiery oratory earned him the love of his supporters and even the respect of his opponents during his 2 terms as senator from Minnesota. His death in a plane crash October 25, 2002, while on the campaign trail, is one of those never forget where you were moments for many people. That includes steelworker Tony Drazenovich, who was just hitting the road after building deer stands near Pengilly.
It came on the radio, and the story of the plane crashing and the fatalities and everything.
The senator, spouse Sheila, daughter Marcia, 2 pilots and 3 campaign workers were killed approaching Eveleth Airport in cloudy weather. Wellstone was buried in Minneapolis, not far from Vice President Hubert Humphrey. Supporters of the senator started a group called Wellstone Action to continue his philosophies into the future. Those philosophies have fueled the runs of other politicians like congressional candidate Jen Schultz.
People really looked up to Paul Wellstone. I know I did, and he's really touched a lot of lives, and it was just a huge loss for our country when we lost him.
People remembered the Wellstones last week when they gathered at the memorial that was built just south of Eveleth. Wellstone fans like Tony Drazenovich used the 22nd anniversary of the crash to pause and ponder.
We all do better when we all do better. I mean, that just kind of sums it up for him.
Holding on to history in Eveleth, Dave Anderson, Northern News Now.
And the other people of the Wellstone entourage honored last week were pilots Richard Conry and Michael Guest, plus campaign staffers Mary McAvoy, Tom Lapik, and Will McLaughlin.